Hey everybody, I'm going to try to keep this blog relatively quick today and kind of get through some of the main points, and then because next week we're going to be really busy with a lot to discuss, and it's Friday the 13th, and I've already had a rough morning, so I'm going to keep it as simple as I can. Alright, as far as our items on the board, I'm not going to change these entirely. I'll explain why this one remains on there, the 23rd, 24th, but I think the 26th to the 28th, which is actually the day of Thanksgiving, a little bit after, I think is going to be a little more interesting for us of the two that are listed there. First off, let's talk numbers here for this Friday and for the weekend. 57 right now in town. Cool winds still out there, and the wind is going to be the factor for how cold we get tonight. Last night, the winds did not drop as low as forecast. Therefore, we dropped to 42. We had a forecast of 40, so it didn't cool enough. If you stay windy at night, the atmosphere is what we call mixed, too mixed, and it doesn't allow the winds to decouple and allow that drop to take place. So, yeah, it was cold this morning, but it was more the wind that made you feel that way more than anything. So the big question is tonight, are the winds correct for tonight? Are they going to ease off to allow some of these numbers of freezing and 20s, freezing level or 20s to show up for the area? Current winds right now, and these are sustained winds, 20 miles per hour. So still quite windy. So I'm going to lean more toward the windier idea. And interestingly enough, the in-house model we have in FutureCast is leaning that way too. Therefore, it is kind of leaning more toward about a 34 degree low. We have 32 currently. I think 34, maybe even 35 is probably going to be more the reality now for the city. Outlying areas, especially sheltered areas, you have a better chance to be sheltered from the wind, and therefore you could see easily temperatures in the 20s, mid-20s for sure. So it's going to be a freeze for a lot of us out there. But in the city, that's the questionable part. I think the wind may be our saving grace. That will also allow us to raise our numbers up a little bit for Saturday. We may get to about 55 now. Very similar to today, to be honest with you. But the winds will actually be even lighter for Saturday. And then by Sunday, it's not so much the winds are going to be nearly calm. It's just the direction of the wind is going to be more southerly. So it will not be as cold Sunday morning. That's why the numbers are higher. So that'll be the beginning of a warming trend for Sunday afternoon. In fact, the big warming trend back in the 60s. So here's the setup we're going to have for next week. And here's one thing I have noticed today that is interesting. Here's the GFS showing Sunday afternoon. Here's our energy dropping down across the southern plains. Let me animate this. This is going to take you to Monday. Now, Monday, I do agree with the GFS on this, and the other models support this as well. There's going to be warm air advection rainfall, is what we call that will likely aim itself at a streak northeast and will likely impact southern Indiana, but it may impact northern Kentucky as well. So we're going to raise rain chances for Monday night into the first part of Tuesday, especially for areas along the Ohio River. I would say 2 or 3 counties either side of the Ohio River, your chance for rain will increase. The more south you are, I don't see that being a huge issue. So this is a warm air advection rainfall as we head into Monday night, early Tuesday. Here's the main low. As it deepens, it'll then pull back all that rainfall and get it back closer to the low pressure itself, which allows for a dry period, I think, as we head into most of Tuesday afternoon, the way it's looking. And a pretty good flow on Tuesday. So Wednesday for a while was looking like the warmest day. Now we're thinking it's going to be mainly Tuesday, even though the GFS here, it is so slow, it really doesn't bring the rainfall in here until Thursday. But here's the problem that I've noticed on the speed with the GFS. There's energy already arriving in the Pacific Northwest, moving into the Rockies. And the GFS usually is the faster model with this kind of a setup. And it is actually the slowest with getting this rain band through here. The Euro is usually the slowest, and it's actually the fastest, as well as the Canadian. So everything's all mixed up. But it seems to be this piece of energy moving in across the Northwest may actually help our low pressure next week get quicker into the westerlies and get a flow to it to move that band in here quicker by a full 24 hours quicker than what the GFS model is showing here. So that means that we will have warm air advection rain Monday into Tuesday. We get a dry, warm period Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday night. But Wednesday would be our day of the main rainfall versus the GFS here saying Thursday will be. And that's important to figure out if you have plans either one of those 2 days. I understand that. So at this point, there's more support for the faster solution today than there is the slower, only because I'm seeing more support for the energy catching up with the next system already in the Rockies, being able to bump this guy along. So because of that, I'm leaning more toward that idea so far today. So that is the GFS. Here is the Euro. This is for Wednesday morning. And again, Wednesday morning, the GFS had it over here with the rain band. This is the European already having the rain band moving in on our doorstep at sunrise on Wednesday itself. But notice, it already has the piece of energy, though, already developing in the Rockies by that point. So again, I think this is going to be key, is how quickly this moves on shore is going to be the key factor on kicking this bad boy out of here and making this rain band progressive. And again, the Euro seems to be pretty fast on that. In fact, by Wednesday night, it has the rain out of here. I probably will keep a small rain chance in for early on Thursday, just in case the GFS is going to score a coup here and is right on the slower speed of things, and that the energy here is too fast. But I think the energy moving in here, I think, is right on cue to move in quick, and that should force the slow out of here. So because of that, that means the following weekend we've got it to adjust as well. We'll get in a second. First off, rain amounts. Because of the Euro being slightly faster, we're talking about 1 to 3 inches of rain. I still think 2 to 4, though, is going to become more of a reality. But you see what happens when that rain band sits there the longest. We're talking about 3 to 6 inches of rain in Missouri. And if the GFS is right, those totals are way higher, closer to 8 or 9 inches. So let's hope that the Euro is right on this faster idea today, because not really so much for us, but for our friends here to the west, this could be really bad news for flooding. All right, so for the weekend, the following weekend, the GFS, because it was the faster, or the slower, model. So I'm already getting confused. The slowest model, it really doesn't show the cold air behind it until the weekend. So it's got a dry, fairly chilly weekend until the end, and then we get a southern stream system. Well, because the Euro and the Canadian are faster, we get right to the point here for the weekend. But low pressures like this, when they come in at this angle, likely are going to trend more north than they will south. So I think the Euro's got a good position in the lows. This is going to be rain for us, it looks like, next weekend. As it goes by, I don't know if we'll get a rain to snow scenario. If it would be for our northern counties. But I don't think this is one that's going to be that exciting. That's why I'm not too excited about it being on the monitoring board. I'll keep that chance in there because the GFS model, I don't have it listed here, but the GFS is the rain snow line painted closer to the Ohio River. It's really deep with this low as it comes around and then moves out. The Canadian and the Euro are a little more to the north, and the trend so far this year has been to trend more north. So I like the look of the Euro there. So we'll keep an eye on that. But it could have some adjustments here for the weekend of the 21st. But right now I'm going to lean toward the Euro idea. Then we get into Thanksgiving week. Euro can only see to Thanksgiving week. But it does see the groundwork has been laid. We've got high pressure building in. We've got energy once again developing in the Rockies. The subtropical jet's already sending in moisture. Signs are there for a pretty decent storm for Thanksgiving to pass through this area. And the question is, what's it going to bring us? It's a good question. We'll have to figure it out. Here's what the GFS has for Thanksgiving. It has the cold air retreating in a warming trend. If you look yesterday, it had cold air all over the place. And this is another reason why it's hard to trust the GFS right now, because when you look at the same ensemble model, which factors in other ideas other than the deterministic model this is, the same model, GFS, but with the ensembles, this is what it looks like for Thanksgiving. Much colder look. And I think this is much more accurate. Lines up well with the Canadian and what the Euro is doing, and that's why I think the storm that is going to be moving out Thanksgiving week rolling out is going to be an interesting one for us to track and see how it plays out. It may not. I don't think it's going to be all snow. Don't see that happening, but I think it could be a classic rain to snow scenario, and one that is worth watching. So there you go, guys. Biggest headache we're going to have next week is going to be the timing. Right now, the models, well, at least one model, is still 24 hours different than the others on the time for the main band of rain to arrive. And that's going to affect how warm we get into the 70s, and it affects rain amounts, and it affects the weekend as well. So it's a cause and effect all the way down the chain to Thanksgiving, all with this setup for next week. And we've got to see what's coming into the Pacific Northwest, and we've got to see how that's going to interact with the storm next week. And that's the main focus I'm going to have this weekend to try to narrow it down. If I see something interesting, I'll post this weekend. Otherwise, we'll just leave it at that for right now. And we'll try to update you guys on specifics on the news tonight. And, of course, we'll be back blogging again on Monday. And hopefully by Monday, we'll have a really good idea on how this is all going to work out. So stay tuned.